I want to talk about another topic about dating, because a lot of the stuff we've talked about so far has been about married couples.
Yeah. But
that doesn't mean that things that we say aren't also of value to those who aren't married or who plan on getting married. And specifically, I wanted to touch on the idea that dating is a preview of marriage.
Right.
It's basically like, and if
let's say that one more time for the people in the back.
Dating is a preview of marriage.
Yeah. So whatever he's doing
right.
in the dating stage, you should expect.
Yes.
Kind of like a clock.
There's no epiphany at the wedding.
Right. There's no epiphany at the wedding.
Even if he's crying.
No matter what is happening, you should expect what happened in the relationship prior to marriage to continue.
Because the man is doing what in the dating stage?
He's testing.
He's testing the parameters.
He's testing the parameters of the woman.
Yeah.
Meaning, what can I get away with? What can't I get away with? What will she tolerate? What won't she tolerate?
Right.
These are all, and this is why dating is so important and imperative for women to have this knowledge while they're dating. Because if you don't know what dating is, you think it's just courting.
Yes.
You think it's just like we just
like you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. No, this is the preview of how your marriage will look. If the dating stage there was no truth seeking, no growth, no accountability being had, there was infidelity, there was lies, there was abuse. If you should never ever expect for there to be a switch because you said I do, and now he's a new person. No, he put you through those things to see what you will tolerate. And same thing with the women too. Women don't drastically change either after marriage. If she's doing things outside of the marriage, or she's lying to you, she's talking to your friends behind your back, or like whatever. Right. You should expect her to do those same things in the marriage. Yes. I think we have fetishized what marriage is, and we literally think it's a switch. Yes. We think that this person, because he got on one knee,
halo after you get married,
because he got on one knee and did the whole charade of asking you to be his wife. Yes. You replay that day in your head, and you hold on to that for the whole marriage. Yes. You're like, well, at least he asked, at least he gave me this rock on my hand. At least, so you replay the things that he's given you. Meanwhile, that's all he's going to give you is material things. I did my job. And that's how white men are. White women are taken care of financially, spiritually. I mean, they don't have a spirit, but mentally, they're not. It's chaos. Yeah. So they're if you are seeking somebody who is successful on the success ladder in society, very high up, you should expect these things.
Right. And I think I want to talk about the psychology of infidelity, specifically deceit. Yeah. So at the heart of infidelity, a man is deceitful about who he is. And so
let's say
at the heart of infidelity is a man is being deceitful about who he is.
To himself.
That's the first infidelity. Yes. Infidelity begins when the man deceives himself. Yep. Meaning he presents himself in a public space that is inconsistent with vows or kind of outward expressions of who he claims to be in the presence of his wife at least. Right. So, and one of the ways that this is kind of manipulated, or one of the ways that this is done, is through superficial displays like this, like a ring. So the ring in the marriage, it becomes a fetish, in the heart of a deceitful person. Basically, what does that mean? So men, I think, understand that women look at married men as attractive because married men, at least superficially, are supposed to signify an ability to commit. So if you a man and you out with your ring on, that women say, oh, that must be a good guy.
Automatically.
And the men, what they do is they exploit that perception to their advantage by putting themselves in situations, again, not protecting the perimeter, putting themselves in situations where they can attract women to them. And then, right before the infidelity happens, they say, oh, by the way, I'm married. But the women who they already know that you don't really respect yourself, you don't respect your own marriage, because you would have, in your demeanor, you would have already demonstrated that you're committed to the woman, that you're committed to your wife.
Right.
She shouldn't have had to look at your ring in order to figure it out.
Or you shouldn't have to even say it, really.
Yeah,
I mean, it shouldn't be an afterthought.
It
should have been like, oh, yeah, by the way. That should have been like the first thing out of my mouth is like, oh, I'm married. Like,
so the infidelity-based culture is so powerful that it even kind of, sometimes it gets an extra boost after the marriage. Meaning sometimes when the man acquires the ring, now he says, okay, now I can be unfaithful and I don't even have to do as much work. Because without the ring, he had to charm the woman. He had to kind of get her to lower her defenses off of his personality alone. But now after he gets the ring, he can just do this.
And she like, oh, he married?
Yeah. And
he must be a good man.
Yeah, and she's not, and a lot of times the woman isn't going to have respect for the marriage because she exists within the same infidelity-based culture.
Exactly.
A culture that sensationalizes infidelity.
And it's women out here who only date married men.
Yeah, like shows like Scandal.
Yeah.
You know, that was one of the top shows on network television, and it was based off of an African woman, let's say African, not black, an African woman sleeping with the dog, a white man. You know, and you see, but that's primetime television in an infidelity-based culture. You know, in an infidelity-based culture, you have words like side chick.
Yeah.
You have ways of trivializing the fact that the African nation is disintegrating every day. Abuse happens or infidelity happens. We don't look at this as treason. We look at it as cheating. You know, and I think when we start to recontextualize it and we start to think from an African sense of our relationships are signals in terms of our aspirations for nationhood. Then when we have infidelity, we will see, oh, the nation is in disarray. The nation is in crisis. This is a national crisis among African people. It's not just a personal thing about men got to get their act together, women got to get their act together. No, African people have to get their act together
as a whole
by re-immersing themselves in their native culture. Because none of these things that are happening to us today are in any way native to us. They are in any way normal or natural to us. They're very foreign and very imposed. You know, these are imposed conditions. They're given to us. You know, and once we
the white man sitting there going like this.
So we have to break out of thinking of cheating as purely physical. It's a form of treason. You know, and it's a form of treason that is induced by a culture that's designed to keep you in a state of perpetual arousal where your desires are always being pulled in directions that don't build familyhood, that don't enhance your role as a father, that don't enhance your role as a husband.
And I think those same things are happening to the women. The difference is the woman can stay within the marriage while getting, so she can get the shopping, she can get the she can get those out.
It's less sexual.
It's less sexual.
Let's talk about first, before we get to the solutions, the longevity thing. You know, so we all are familiar with this phenomenon where they'll say, Jim and Jane, stand up. They've been married for 42 years, and everybody stand up.
Let's give them a black hand.
Let's give them a black hand. Everybody clap. So we have to ask, what are we clapping for? We're clapping because we're thinking of marriage as a job, a kind of prison sentence. So somebody who's been able to sustain a marriage for 42 years, to endure, that's because that's suffering, to endure the presence of their wife for 40 plus years. Man, give this man a medal. Like, how did he do it? Now, in a normal society, longevity wouldn't be the litmus test for the quality of the marriage.
Stop celebrating anniversaries.
So in America, longevity shouldn't be seen as the most valuable because these are often artificially sustained by external distractions. They have no growth mechanism. What do we mean by growth mechanism? A growth mechanism is when you have within your marriage a kind of mutual, reciprocal recognition of the divine essence of each person. And that recognition fuels a kind of growth on the spiritual level, on the intellectual level, on the physical level in terms of health. You know, there's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of like parenting, like the parents are equally invested in the child rearing process. Like all of these things kind of combine and create a kind of energy, a divine energy. And that's what it means to have a growth mechanism within your marriage.
Right.
Or I like to use the proverb that says the wife is like a flower and the man is the fence that surrounds it. So you should think of your marriage as you're constantly gardening. You're tending to the garden because you understand that if you're not consistent and if you're not on schedule in terms of making sure that everything, even if it seems small, is addressed on the spot,
right,
then you're sowing the seeds for decay.
Yeah.
And that's what it means to have a growth mechanism. We have to have growth-centered marriages.
Right.
Meaning our concepts of God should be evolving. Our creativity should be evolving.
Right.
Our positions should be becoming more radical.
Right.
We should be becoming more uncompromising in the face of injustice. Like all of these things begin to happen when you have a growth mechanism within your marriage.
Right.
And it's outside of this culture that is constantly trying to shrink your spirit. You know. And,
so we have all of these things that are holding the glue. That's what we call the glue of the marriage is things outside of the marriage. So it's the sports, it's the entertainment, it's the food, the shopping, the house. Like it's all these other things that are gluing their relationships together. If you take all those things away, and that's why relationships fail because of financial reasons.
Yes.
Most relationships they fail
true.
Because of finances.
That's true.
That means that the relationship wasn't a relationship; it was an economical decision.
Yes, this was a partnership.
This was a business move.
Yeah.
This was a business move. This had nothing to do with spirituality. It had nothing to do with us trying to rear African children. It had nothing to do with trying to liberate our people. This had everything to do with I want to be able to claim this on my taxes.
Yes.
How can we get some extra money? How can we combine our incomes?
Right.
That's all it's about.
Right.
And you can sense that when these relationships are failing, and there's a lot of arguments, and there's a lot of turmoil based off of economics. And if you're black in America, you are going to have problems with money.
Right.
5% of the wealth is all you own.
And we didn't even mention the fact that if you're black in America, you used to be money. Like
you were the money.
You were
they
the
didn't
money.
They didn't have paper money because they had what? Slaves. Yeah. They had black people, and that was their currency. They would trade us like they do Benjamin.
So let's extend that observation. So as Africans, we're saying you used to be money. So when you're fighting for money, you're really fighting for yourself.
Right.
You're fighting meaning, but you don't understand that you used to be money. So you keep going after the paper money. But what we're saying is
chasing the bag.
We're saying forget the bag. Focus on you. Who are you? What is your mission? Is that mission conducive to nation building? And then once you realize what your mission is, find a woman or a man who can complement that mission. That mission. Because until you do that, it's not going to matter what the financial standards are. It's not going to matter how big the house, how big the car, how nice things look superficially. Right. Because at the end of the day, that spiritual essence is going to be the defining aspect of whether or not your marriage is going to be quality or just long.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost like the marriages are based on this kind of covetousness.
Yes.
Like, in the Bible they say you shouldn't covet your neighbor's, ass. Like, covet your possessions of your neighbor. So, and social media has really just magnified this beyond, comprehension.
Yeah.
What's happening now is a lot of couples, they're coveting what other couples have, and they try to replicate what they perceive that couple to have within their marriage, instead of asking, what is the soil of my marriage, and is the soil of my marriage have the nutrients to produce what this couple has? Because first, you shouldn't be looking outside the marriage.
Right.
You should be looking within.
Right.
You should be focusing on how do I manifest the best that we can manifest given the soil that we're standing in.
Right. And if you are going to look outside of the marriage, it has to be elders.
Yes.
Elders with wisdom, not people that have been married just for 40 years.
Not olders either.
The length of time of the marriage is not enough for you to base if you should be mimicking a relationship after them.
Yes.
You have to say, okay, you've been married for 40 years, you've been married for 20 years. Who are you as individuals?
Right.
And what is your mission together?
Right.
And how have you sustained this relationship? Not just the fact that you stayed married, because what we said earlier is, the glue of the relationship are external things.
Yeah.
So if you take those things away, who knows if that marriage would have lasted 40 years?
And I would even say, and because I remember in our previous video, we was talking about the difference between esteem and confidence.
Right.
And we was talking about how esteem is based on your ability to contribute and to basically add value.
Right.
You know, what is your contribution to the welfare of the whole of your people? And I would argue that a healthy marriage is a marriage with healthy esteem, meaning you will be able, like in your case, if it's an elder married couple, you'll be able to evaluate the health of that elder marriage based on how many people have they positively impacted by them acting as a unit.
Yeah.
What was their impact on other people? Not whether or not they made each other happy, because that's not what we're looking at. What did they contribute in terms of African liberation? You know, you see,
nation building.
You see, like Baruti and his wife, like they've contributed a lot to the community, and that's the power of their marriage, and that's why it's a marriage of healthy esteem.
Right.
Meaning the marriage itself, as a unit, Baruti and his wife, they've contributed to the growth of African liberation. Right. They've contributed to the growth of African consciousness. So when we marry people, we shouldn't be thinking, oh, is this marriage satisfactory to me? Or is this marriage satisfactory to the wife? You should be thinking, is this marriage satisfactory to my people? Am I exemplifying the best of my people through my marriage?
Right.
You know, am I reflecting the ways of my ancestors through my marriage, and through that example, inspiring other people to do the same? Because that's a lot of what we each aim to do.
Yeah,
you know, in our relationship, we want people to not say, "Oh, I want to take nice pictures and stuff." No, we want people to begin to assert themselves as Africans.
Right. And we just use the picture to lure you in.
Right. The picture is the picture is the bait. It's really just the message.
Right.
The message that we're communicating is that you're of no value until you contribute to African liberation. If you're not contributing to African liberation, you have no value. Because the African people are responsible for your humanity. Without the people, you are not existing. You know, so who do you owe your existence to? The African people. Right. So in your marriage, you should be showing that I owe my people something. I'm in debt to them.
Yep.
Not in debt to Bank of America, not in debt to Wells Fargo, not in debt to Georgia Power, not in debt to Equifax, or you're in debt to your people. Yeah. That's the first debt you have to handle. And when you understand your indebtedness to your people, then you'll start to practice your marriages in ways that are conducive to the liberation of your people.
Right.
You see?
You'll just use your relationship to further that agenda. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's quickly go into solutions, because I think that's a very interesting points we have. So the things that I'm going to propose as solutions, they go both ways. But I'll use the word men because I'm a man and I don't know how to think out the mind of a woman because I'm a man. So that's why. But everything I say, it applies on both ends.
Right.
All right. So the first solution, and this is about men protecting, because remember I said men, their role is to protect the perimeter.
Right.
So men can easily protect their marriage by restricting friendly relations with women who are friends of their marriage. You know, so that means men shouldn't have friends who are they shouldn't have female or women friends who are not also friends to their wives, meaning friends to their marriage.
Right.
You know, because for men to have women friends who are strangers to their wives, that's a way of not protecting the perimeter.
Exactly.
Because you're creating the environment where emotional bonds can be formed outside of the marriage, and you're allowing these corrupt elements in, and that's going to make it harder for your wife to manage internally, because she's going to sense that your loyalties are being divided. Your loyalties are elsewhere. So part of making yourself completely available to your wife emotionally and psychologically is making sure that you restrict your interactions with other women to those women who are friends of your marriage.
Right.
So and that doesn't mean you can't have friends of the opposite sex, but that's the qualifier when you get married, because when you get married, you're inseparable from your wife. Mm-hmm. There is no more, I have my friends,
best friend.
I have my friends and she has her
your
friends.
best friend.
No, we have friends.
We have friends, they both are friends.
Right. So I have women friends, but they're my friends because they're my wife friend.
Right.
And if they wasn't my wife friend, they wouldn't be my friend.
Right.
So this is just one of the kind of really basic ways that you can ensure that the perimeter of your marriage is being protected
secured. By
being selective in terms of you only let women into your space if they're friends of your marriage.
And this, we can also, by addressing this, we can also say, if the man or the woman, because like we said, this goes both ways, are seeking friendships, that don't include the spouse, more than those people are manipulating. They're intentionally doing it. It's not just like, whoops, I just happen to make a friend. They're doing this intentionally, because it goes back to that image of the married man with the ring.
I'm the good man.
I'm the good man. And they're opening themselves up. They're opening the marriage, not themselves, my bad. They're opening up the marriage to people to come in and manipulate.
Right.
So these people, men who do this or women who do this, are doing it intentionally. It's not just like, whoops, I had a friend and they happen to not know my spouse.
I agree.
So if you're going through that, you probably should just separate, because this is not somebody who has growth in the forefront of their mind.
And he lacks discipline.
Right, they lack discipline.
It takes discipline to do that.
Right.
So the second point for men, when expressing yourself to women, use pronouns we, our, us. And this protects the unity of the marriage and signals you and your wife are on the same accord. Doing this also shapes how women interact with you and lessens the likelihood that they would disrespect your marriage. So this is very critical, because, especially because when men start to express themselves as individuals separately from their wives, they're basically, again, presenting an opening. They're telling the woman that you can come between me and my wife if you want to. And in an infidelity-based culture, that's highly likely that you're going to come across a woman who's going to want to come between you and your wife. So the way you prevent that is you make it so that she's aware that anything she says to you, she's also saying to your wife.
Right.
And there's no secrets, by the way. That's another thing. Nothing should be held in confidentiality, with especially a woman, if you're married. It's always like we're a united front, meaning if like you wouldn't converse with somebody in a government and told one official but not the other, because that's a way of sowing a coup. That's a way of sowing a revolution. A overthrow from below. So the way you keep institutions intact is that you make sure that information is given in a transparent manner, meaning that the wife is abreast of everything, even if it's social media. So I know for me it's a habit of, if I get communications from women who aren't friends of my wife or who maybe not be good friends, I always read it out to her. I'll be like, look, I just got this message, and we'll read it together, because these are ways of ensuring that you're protecting the perimeter. You're not allowing relationships or friendships, to manifest outside of the attention of your compliment. Go ahead.
That was perfect. I don't have anything
so and that's very important. Men have to be aware that women are out here who will disrespect your marriage.
They're waiting. What they're doing is they're listening to how you speak. They're saying, are you saying me, I? Or are you saying us, we? Our.
And you'll notice when you start to use pronouns like we, us, and our, they'll start to refer to you as y'all.
That's what people refer to us. They'll be like, y'all gonna come?
Y'all.
What's up?
They don't say you, they say y'all, because you've already established the standard. If you're talking to me, you're talking to my wife. And if you do it, if you're consistent about it, they'll respect it. But it's your job to first lay the basis to say, I'm not an individual. I am a married man, meaning it's me and my wife. And thirdly, we have for men on social media, and I want people to listen to this closely, because social media seems like the habitat for infidelity. So it says, for men on social media, you should be a public relations agent for your wife. Specifically, you should be celebrating her in a fashion that highlights her value as a wife, mother, compliment, etc. So I specifically added that second part because celebrating your wife isn't the same as objectifying your wife,
right?
Or pimping your wife, or putting your wife on Front Street with her back out,
right? Or your
hand, like it's a trend for fake African men to be with their wives, and then she has on like a form-fitting dress, and they'll reach around and get a handful of her behind and squeeze, like it's a toy,
snap the picture,
like it's a toy. That's showing your wife in a very undignified way.
Right.
It's not affirming her role as a mother, as a teacher.
She's more than that. She should be, at least. I mean, there's some women who have dumbed themselves down to only be looked at as that. Right. But it's both of their jobs, not just the man and not just the woman. It's both of their jobs to work towards valuing each other and themselves more, to be like, what are you doing?
And that's where accountability comes in.
I say
accountability. So if you have, because my wife is right, sometimes you'll have women and they'll gladly repost that. They're like, look, a man likes me, and their idea of a man liking them is a man grabbing a handful of their behind, not understanding that all women have behinds. He can grab any woman's behind.
Anybody.
So you have to ask this. The women who think this, they have to ask, what do I have that other women don't have? Because that's what makes you you. And is he affirming that thing that makes you you? And if he isn't affirming that thing that makes you you, he's not being your public relations agent. He's being your pimp. He's misrepresenting you. He's objectifying you. So like even, and I'll take personal example. Like if you look at my social media, you couldn't tell sometimes if you didn't see the profile picture at the top whether it's my page or my wife's page, because I'm very meticulous in making sure that every time I'm seen, she's seen. Even if it's a picture by myself, if it's a series, you'll swipe and you'll see my wife. And one of the unfortunate things today is you have this kind of lack of reciprocity, where a lot of women, you'll go to their pages and you'll see their husbands, but then you'll go to the husband page and it's just a bunch of selfies. You won't see any pictures of him with his brothers. Him working out. Him taking pictures with his biceps, bulging.
Like, you married, bro?
So we have to begin to understand that in this image-based society, when you're an image-based society, being irresponsible in terms of how we present ourselves and our spouses is also a way of opening the door for infidelity.
Right? And some people will be like, well, that's the individual. That's my individual page.
No.
So
No, after you marry, ain't
no individual. Stop with that.
Ain't no individual.
I think men, they're okay with you saying that too, because now they can have the best of both worlds. They can be coming home every night to their wives and getting what they want, getting fed, getting sex, whatever they need from the wife, and then on outside of the home, you can't even tell if he really married or not, or if he is married, he doesn't seem like he's happy. He doesn't seem harmoniously married.
And I'll just add another solution: men, stop liking pictures of women who ain't your wife. Like, if it's not your wife, just don't like it. Don't like it. That's
the fact that you're following it is kind of like...
Yeah, and y'all know what pictures I'm talking about. The pictures,
they know.
The pictures that are undignified. Stop liking the undignified pictures that ain't your wife. In fact, don't even visit the pages. Like,
some of them just shouldn't even honestly
don't follow the pages either. This is not natural. This is again another piece of being trapped in perpetual arousal, and it's going to make you dumb.
And the women have to stop allowing it, because it's so many women.
Accountability.
We have a video on accountability. Yeah. Please watch it. But the women, the mothers, the wives have to stop allowing it. And you can't just be like, well, at least we married. At least I'm his girlfriend. He coming home to me. That's not enough. That you're dumbing yourself down. You're devaluing who you are as a mother and as a wife. So by you allowing him and seeing, because I know y'all see it. I know y'all see that they're liking inappropriate things. They're following pages that are questionable, that if you had to choose, he wouldn't be following it. But because you don't want to hold him accountable, and because you're just so excited to be married or excited to be in a relationship, you don't want to bring it up because you don't want to seem insecure. That is detrimental to the relationship. and you have to hold the man accountable. That's what loving and valuing somebody looks like. Is saying this is unacceptable, and then you have to come and say, well, why do you like these things? Let's have a conversation.
Because oftentimes it'll be women who don't even look like the wife.
They look nothing like the wife. So it's like, okay, well, you like this. I don't look nothing like this. I don't have a body like this. Yeah. So what's up? Yeah. Like, and then you can have those healthy conversations, and then you can decide if it's somebody that you need to be with. Continue, and 9 times out of 10 it's not. But we're just so connected to this image of relationships that we're willing to withstand so much. Our thresholds are so high to what we'll tolerate as women from men because we're in
captivity.
Yeah, we're in captivity.
And a lot of the men too it's a scarcity.
Yeah.
Because
they know it's a scarcity
right.
too.
These and the men are exploiting the fact that it's a scarcity.
Yes.
They know that it's not as many men as women, so they say, what other man you going to get to like be with you?
Right.
Even, especially if you're a woman with a child.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, what other man you going to get to raise your child? Like, you better tolerate this social media recklessness I got.
How dare you come to me asking me what I'm doing on my social media?
Right. You should be grateful that I'm even here.
Yeah. Like, but what we're saying is, if you value yourself, that's not even something that's on the table.
Yeah. Right.
It's not on it's not a discussion, really.
Right. Yeah. We have to have the courage to be, self-loving. It takes courage. It takes courage to love yourself, because when you begin to love yourself in a loveless society that is organized around self-hate, you're going to deprive yourself of things that the society tells you is worthy.
Yeah.
So your whole kind of evaluation of what is worthy is what's going to have to change.
Yeah.
Because you can't maintain that the things that society is holding out to you is worthy and then love yourself. Because by loving yourself, they're going to say, we're not going to give you these things.
Right.
So that's why me and my wife, we value things that are not valued in captivity.
By other people.
We value truth. We value insight. We value intellect. We value study. We value learning. We value accountability. We value children. And that's a big one.
Yeah, it is
that should be a given with African people. But today you have to state it. You have to say, do you value children?
Do you like children? Do you like kids? That was never. Can you imagine an African person 200? Not 200, but like before white people came into contact with us, asking each other, "Do you like kids? Excuse me?
Do you like? What you mean? Do I breathe?
Do I like life?
Yeah, I know exactly.
What do you? Yeah. I mean, I was a child at once. How do you say you don't like children and you was once a child?
Do you like genetic survival?
Okay.
Like, yes, I like. I prefer to genetically survive.
I prefer to genetically not survive. I don't really care for children. Like, what? You was a child.
So this question about do you like children?
Yes,
we have to understand this originates in a culture that is nihilistic.
Yeah.
Nihilistic meaning you want the destruction of everything.
That's
a nihilistic question in an African context. To ask, do you like children? First of all, like is too mild a word. Right. No, I think children are our greatest technology,
and they're extremely valuable.
They're extremely valuable.
Without them,
they're God's gift to the world. So to ask someone if you like children, that's again in the question itself is telling you that you're living within a nihilistic
society,
culture,
right?
A nihilistic culture that does not want you to encounter anything that's authentic, anything that's reflecting your true self.
Right.
So, and I think...
Is that all the solutions we have?
Yes, that's all the solution. And the final solution, I just put, we have to create a growth mechanism to unite around.
A mission.
To prevent external distractions from entering. And preventing those external distractions from entering ensures a harmonious environment for the woman to organize the internal health of the relationship.
And the more harmonious the woman can be, the easier the man's job is. Because if she's not balanced, he's not going to be balanced. And if he's not balanced, neither was she.
I know. I think that's really the true meaning of that phrase. We don't know who said it. A nation rises no higher than its women.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That means when you have the internal health of any society deteriorate, that society falls. Because you can have invasions But it's that society internally developed to resist the invasion.
Yeah.
So you see, so and it's just a biological analogy too. So like if you're constantly in filthy, contaminated environments, that means you're allowing germs into your system, and the immune system is compromised. You know, like you can allow maybe a little again, it'll build your immune system up. But if you're just making a habit of being in unhealthy, contaminated environments, it's eventually going to compromise your immune system.
Right.
So that's what's meant when we say the nation rises no higher than its women. The relationship rises no higher than its women too. But that would depend upon the man's ability to protect the perimeter, you know, of that nation.
To stop anything that is against the relationship from entering.
Right.
He's the buffer zone.
He's the buffer zone. He's the front line. He's the asafo.
Yeah.
You know, so we hope, you know, this is of value to people because
we understand that our relationships, our African relationships, are not in the state that they should be in. So we feel that these conversations are extremely important. The next video that we talked about was the accountability video.
Right.
So please watch that because we talk about how important, extremely vital it is for relationships, healthy relationships, to have accountability.
And accountability is also a form of affection.
It's a form of affection.
One of the highest.
Right.
Yeah,
so I think we kind of devalue that because we live in a society that's very feel good based, meaning you don't want anything to make you not feel at ease at all times.
The pursuit of happiness.
The pursuit of happiness is the goal. And so accountability sounds very scary, and it sounds like you're in trouble, you're in detention, you know, it takes you back to those childish school days where you're on punishment. But what we're saying is healthy relationships have a healthy amount, not just a little bit, a healthy amount of accountability flowing between the husband and the wife. And same thing with the children. Holding your children accountable is also a way of rearing them and raising them to be the healthy African individuals that they should also be. So, please watch that video. Thank y'all for watching. We love you guys, and we'll see you in our next video.
All right. Bibi Fahodie.